No, these are human rights workers and activists. David Adler says, I will not lie to you. I'm scared for our lives on this flotilla. Israel's drumbeat is growing louder, first calling us the Hamas flotilla, now slandering our peaceful convoys, pursuing a violent course of action. All points into one lethal direction. Still we sail on. This was earlier this morning. Israel Foreign Ministry. We were sorry to hear the response from the Hamas flotilla representative. The flotilla insists on pursuing a violent course of action and refuses our proposals to transfer in a coordinated and peaceful manner any aid that might be aboard the flotilla to the Gaza Strip via the nearby Ashkelon Marina. The response once again highlights the insincerity of the flotilla members and their mission to serve Hamas rather than the people of Gaza. If the flotilla continues to reject they are doing everything in their power. Felix says, Israel does not think this sways anyone. If you're a true believer who's looking for them for talking points, give us the aid so we can safely distribute it at the sites where we also claimed Hamas provoked us into committing massacre after massacre isn't really worth using. It's really just proceduralizing whichever form of mass murder they want in their toolbox. This is them shouting, anyone going to stop us? Going once, going twice. After that, they have their on-ramp for shooting commercial jets out of the sky. Which is true. That's like, they have no care or consideration for anyone. It doesn't matter. You could have an American politician on there and they still would fucking shoot it. That's where we're heading towards. Basically, if the Samson option actually takes place at some point, our American politicians will apologize to Israel for the crime of even making Israel upset enough that they would ever use nuclear arms against us. You know what I mean? That's where we're moving towards at this point. Yeah. They could kill Lindsey Graham and we say sorry he got in the way. They did kill 3 to 4 American children in Qatar. No, they killed them in Lebanon yesterday. Yeah.
What?
Breaking. Trump envoy Tom Barak admits Israel bombed global summit flotilla ships near Tunisia earlier this month. In an interview with the national news Hadley Gamble, Barak, special envoy to the region dealing with Syria and leading figure in the administration's Hezbollah disarmament push, said Hezbollah has zero incentive to disarm when Israel is attacking everybody. He then went on to list several countries the apartheid state has attacked in recent months, including Tunisia, where multiple flotilla ships were struck by drones. Tom Barak is a really interesting figure because he is Mr. I say the quiet part out loud. He's Mr. Might is right. Very interesting figure in the administration. Every time you put a fucking camera in front of this guy, he will literally be like, Israel is a demonic entity that's going to kill every single person, and there's not really anything you can do about it, as a matter of fact. And I love that shit. And what are you going to say about it? What are you going to do about it? There's no reason for you to actually fucking cave to any of our unreasonable demands. He recently, in the same interview, literally said something along the lines of, there's no such thing as peace. Borders are malleable and they're actually determined by the violence of the oppressive party. Something along those lines. Like, he will just do like an anarchist deconstruction of state violence, but then sit there and say it's fucking awesome and good. I'm not even joking. He literally,
incentive do they have to put their weapons down?
Zero. Zero. I mean, this is the problem, especially when Israel is attacking everybody. So if Israel is attacking Syria, Israel is attacking Lebanon, Israel is attacking Tunisia. As it goes on,
and what incentive do they have to put their weapons down?
Zero. Zero.
What part of that is anarchist, my dude? No, not this. There's another
official documents calling our entire flotilla.
This is Quentin Quarantino, by the way, Hasanabi head on one of the ships.
Hamas-led jihadist propaganda, terror boat. They're doing everything they can to convince the world that we are terrorists, which is fascinating, as we're not carrying weapons. We're not carrying anything but ourselves and food and medicine. But, you know, I think that it goes to show that they do feel threatened by our mission, not because we actually are a threat, but because the mere thought of this humanitarian corridor opening and the world being able to feed Gaza disrupts what they're trying to do. They're very intent on starving children. The photos of skin and bones children are not an accident. The children that are being blown to pieces are not just an accident. This is part of the goal.
That rhetoric about the flotilla being a terror flotilla, I mean, it may be laughable to us, but it is
I'm going to be doing an interview with Nathan tonight after the stream.
not a joke. The Israelis have a very long history that's very well established of painting peaceful protesters, in the case of the 2018 March of Return in Gaza, where they painted peaceful protesters as a violent threat, which they then used as justification for getting trained snipers to shoot them, and over 200 people were killed. Also, Israel has used the same tactic of portraying journalists as part of or affiliated with Hamas, which they have then used, or academics in the case of Rafat al-Alarir. And it's not just empty rhetoric. What is done is that they are painted as terrorists, and then they become an actual violent target. So the shift in rhetoric on your flotilla, you know, from just seeing this as a nuisance to treating it as a terrorist threat, matches a pattern we've seen of establishing someone as a threat, and therefore, in the case of Anas al-Sharif, a journalist, using it as justification to then kill them.
That's our socialist dandy daddy, Nate Robinson. Yeah, he's great. He's great. All right, so that's the update on the flotilla. That's all we got for now. I'm glad that we did the can liberalism be saved shit, because god damn, that was a banger article. The answer is no. Because in the interest of saving liberalism, what a lot of prominent liberals such as Sunstein argue is basically redefining liberalism as anything but. And he does that in the article in and of itself. Okay? I agree with Sunstein that Reagan was a liberal, that racism and liberalism are harmonious, and that liberals can square a commitment to human rights in the abstract with imperial violence by limiting what counts as right and who gets access to them and when. You don't need to point to Hayek or Kissinger. Wilson was a lost cause guy, and John Stuart Mill made a passionate defense of British imperialism in India. Corporate leaders openly admit that they will side with authoritarianism over democracy if democracy might produce policies that they don't like. Kathy Wild, president and CEO of Partnership for New York City, a nonprofit organization that represents the city's top business leaders, said Republicans have told her that the threat to capitalism from the Democrats is more concerning than the threat to democracy from Trump. Incredibly relevant about liberals 60 years later.
I see. In other words, if a black man cannot have a white man as a friend.
He may have a white man who's friendly, but being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually
Is this the right timestamp?
Fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate.
Gotta pee.
The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
And I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative in the same way that the fox differs from the wolf. Their appetite is the same. Their motives are the same. It's only their mannerisms and methods that differ.
I would agree that no doubt there have been a large number of whites who have posed as liberals and as friends of the Negro and who have time and again betrayed the Negro. On the other hand, I think one could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights, for equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises.
Give me an example.
Well, the large number of white students who have gone into the South, for example, working for SNCC and other organizations.
Not working for SNCC or other organizations, but working for the white political machines who benefit by the voting efforts of Negroes.
Okay, I'll be more specific. I would cite Herbert Hill, for example, as a kind of person who has championed Negro job rights, for example, in New York City and elsewhere. He has fought the political machine.
First time I met Herbert Hill personally was when they were picketing to stop the working on the Harlem Hospital in Harlem. Negroes for 10 years had to fight the city to get an annex built on the Harlem Hospital, because in Harlem we need a hospital.
See, there is one man you could point to as far as like being with the liberation cause, and that is John Brown. For sure. But obviously no white person, especially in 1963, is going to bring up John Brown. This clip did not show what chatters wanted me to look at and reflect on. But once again, that is, of course, always going to be the case. All right. Did you see that YouTube capitulated to Jim Jordan? Breaking. Due to our oversight efforts, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations a return to the platform. But that's not all. YouTube also admits the Biden admin censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Confirms that the Biden admin wanted Americans censored for speech that did not violate YouTube's policies. Details when YouTube began rolling back its censorship policies on political speech after Judiciary GOP began its investigation. States that public debate should never come at the expense of relying on authorities. Promises to never use third-party fact checkers. Oh, boy. Warns that Europe's censorship laws target American companies and threaten American speech. Over the past few years, we have uncovered massive scandals relating to big tech censorship. What's really crazy about this... What's really crazy about this is that now that they've done this, okay, and obviously I'm not going to fucking be in favor of more censorship. I know for a fact that they are still going to turn around and demand more pressure from YouTube to ban people that they don't like. So this isn't just about like making demands from YouTube and like defending free speech. This is about what kind of speech they consider to be permissible and should be allowed on YouTube, and what kind of speech that they will not allow on YouTube. And if you think YouTube will actually not cave when they demand that, like, you know, anti-fascists, which are now designated as a terrorist organization, get demonetized, get banned and deplatformed, make no mistake, YouTube will absolutely cave. Now, to make amends to the American people and because of our work, YouTube is rolling back its censorship policies on political speech, including topics such as COVID and elections. What does that mean? Whether you were an established YouTube presence with a massive following, Dan Bongino, or were starting out to express political views there, you will have an opportunity to come back on the platform if you were censored for engaging in political speech. This is another victory in the fight against censorship. In 2024, August, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg wrote the committee a letter admitting, 1, the Biden admin pressured Facebook to censor Americans. 2, Facebook censored Americans. 3, Facebook throttled the Hunter Biden laptop story. They're still talking about the Hunter Biden laptop. Even as Meta admitted the Biden-Harris censorship was wrong, others in big tech were reluctant to go on the record. Now Google is acknowledging for the first time that it too faced censorship pressure from the Biden White House and that pressure was unacceptable and wrong. But that's not all. YouTube is making changes to its platform to prevent future censorship. YouTube is committing to the American people that it will never use outside so-called fact checkers to censor speech. No more telling Americans what to believe and what not to believe. YouTube community is also trying out community notes. Elon Musk was ahead of the curve. Meta follows suit, and now YouTube. And YouTube confirms that Europe is targeting American speech and innovation. Here it admits that the European social media laws place a disproportionate regulatory burden on American companies. Oh my God. YouTube will let creators who spread COVID misinformation back onto the site. Now, here's the thing. Okay? We'll see where this goes, but any commitment to freedom of speech on platforms, especially right now, is not the worst thing, no matter how much misinformation is captured in it. YouTube already had a fucking major Nazi problem. But the reality of the matter is, I think these guys are going to move forward and start prosecuting speech on YouTube as long as it's like expressing discontent against the administration. And people that will celebrate this decision will then turn around and celebrate that one as well. Race realism videos are about to skyrocket. Brother, it's YouTube. They always had an opportunity on there. Google and YouTube credit judiciary GOP for bringing transparency and accountability to big tech censorship. YouTube always had that. This was like some of the most extreme. This was some of the most extreme cases. And for the record, this right here can be seen in the same framework that I was mentioning about like caving to government pressure. Even when they come out with this report that basically proves, in air quotes, everything that the Republicans have been stating, right? Everything that the Republicans have been stating, they're actually caving to government pressure. They're giving exactly what they want. Because YouTube didn't ban every fucking Nazi. Let's be real. They didn't ban all the Nazis at all. They were never going to do that. What they ended up doing was basically go after serial misinformers, like who are deliberately spreading misinformation, dangerous misinformation, or dangerous race realism, or dangerous versions of anti-Semitism that they considered a bridge too far for themselves, that they personally thought was the appropriate measure. I highly doubt that this was because of a super sincere effort from the Biden administration, right? But they're saying it like that. They're saying it like that right now so that they give the administration what they want to hear so that they won't actually come after them super hard. I suspect another reason why they did this was because of advertiser pressure as well. Terrorist psycho, may you feel the full weight of what you have done. Once again, I have not been an advocate for deplatforming or censorship for obvious reasons, considering that I am a committed critic to the state of Israel. Having said that, we are literally going over the administration celebrating an initiative that forces YouTube to abide by the principles of free speech, and you are here celebrating that I get deplatformed. This is at the heart of the Republican contradiction. Free speech for me, not for thee. That's all this is. That's it. Constantly being like, you're a terrorist, you're scary, your ideas scare me, I don't understand things, and things that I don't understand cause me to be fearful, and therefore the government should intervene and actually take you out, is the most pathetic thing you can be. Okay? Political tell-all books like this are so sick. Publicly, I was a coward, but privately, I was actually being very brave. Yeah. New Kamala Harris writes that Biden's response to Gaza was inadequate. I had to plead with Joe to extend the same empathy he showed to the suffering of Ukrainians to the suffering of innocent Gazan civilians. Harris also writes to Biden, but he couldn't do it. While he could passionately state, I am a Zionist, his remarks about innocent Palestinians came off as inadequate or forced. Gaza was also a factor in Harris's VP deliberations. When she met with Shapiro, we talked about how to handle the attacks he confronted on Gaza and what effect it might have on the enthusiasm we were trying to build. Big protests at the convention were a major concern. Harris acknowledges becoming frustrated with left-wing Gaza protesters. The threat to withhold their vote got to me. It felt reckless. The issue was not binary, but the outcomes of this election certainly was. Why weren't they protesting at Trump rallies, I wondered. During Biden's presidency, Biden and Harris spokespeople denied the two had disagreements over Gaza. Of course, once again, neither of these folks were in any way, shape, or form different from one another with respect to Israel's endless, unlimited genocide and conquest. And that was part of the puzzle for them. Adam Johnson writes, she still thinks the issue was feigned empathy or lack thereof. For Democratic elites, everything is a PR problem. The issue was not the fact that Biden was a conspicuous racist who didn't even bother faking like he cared about Palestinians. The issue was that he acted upon this disposition with material policies. Policies Harris still, a year later, hasn't rejected. Better words would have helped exactly zero Palestinians. This was not and never was the issue. We wanted assurances and we wanted to see a change. We wanted assurances, and we wanted those assurances to be reflected in policy decisions. It's extremely telling that 1 year on, she still can't articulate a single policy critique of Biden on Gaza, nor has she issued a single public criticism of Trump on any Gaza policy. We have zero indication she thinks the issue was anything but a poorly managed PR headache. Relax, bro. Fuck you mean relax, bro. I fault Kamala Harris with this current administration that we're experiencing. I fault her inability to understand the severity of the crisis. I fault her with inaction in the face of genocide because she decided to take the worst option possible, a continuation of business as usual politics at a time when there was so much discontent towards Joe Biden that she became the fucking leader of the Democratic Party as the vice president. That was a unique moment. That should have been enough for someone like Kamala Harris or anyone really with 3 working fucking brain cells to recognize, oh shit, people really don't fuck with Biden. I am going to be a different candidate. While running for president, she said she had no daylight with Biden's policy on Israel and would continue them unchanged. Indeed, based on these excerpts, it seems she only differed with Biden's rhetoric and not his policies. Harris, on one hand, and they still don't understand it, by the way. They will never understand it. I think liberals refuse to understand it. They think it's all just like a minor tweaking. It's like a PR note, and things will be better. While running for president, she said she had no daylight between Biden on the policies. Harris, on the one hand, says she was very influential and consequential in the White House, but on the other hand, says she had absolutely no influence over Biden on Gaza, but also repeatedly says she agreed with him 100% and would prolong Biden's policies to the letter. Only difference, based on the excerpt in this book, is she had with Biden was over his speeches being so lopsided towards Israel. Did she agree or disagree with Biden greenlighting to demolish Rafah, defund UNRWA, bomb hospitals? Doesn't say. She offered rhetorical, not policy changes. This signals a larger Democratic theme. They want to criticize the condition of Palestinians without naming the culprit. They want to pretend there's nothing the U.S. can do about it, and all the legitimacy, arms, and money we give to Israel provides us no leverage to do anything. By the way, have you addressed the brain-rotted allegations that they will not touch you because you serve the purpose of keeping the left divided? Yes, that is true. My job is to divide the Democratic Party. Please do not arrest me. Please do not prosecute me. Please do not deplatform me. I am your most loyal servant, Donald Trump. Please. That's great. I hope they think that. And I hope they keep me from being deplatformed. That's such a funny take from a person who is not even a marginal figure on the left or even the Democrat Party, if we're being real. My ex literally said that to me when we broke up. Yeah. Yeah, I'm such a divider of the left. I'm such a divisive figure of the Democratic Party that I constantly demand that they stop capitulating the Republicans so they can actually win elections and actually do the right thing by their voters. You know, defend marginalized groups, improve people's material conditions, things of that nature. How divisive. You only consider that to be divisive if you don't care, if you just simply think this is team sports. Yeah, she called Trump a communist. Apparently,
Doug and I, my husband.
Kamala Harris on The View on election night. That night, I grieved in a way that I have not since my mother died. The pain was not at all about losing a race. I knew what it was going to mean for the country. All I could say over and over again was, my God, my God, my God. It was very difficult. Where is the Rachel Maddow interview that she did? She's doing the media rounds right now. These are Kamala's exact words on why she didn't break from Biden. Still, Harris defends her actions against her critics, who said she could have done more to distance herself from Biden, saying she did not want to embrace the cruelty of my opponent. She also argues that naming one specific policy difference would have created a backwards-looking rather than forward-looking conversation and would have limited the definition of the difference between us to that one thing rather than my unique perspective on a variety of issues. Oh, my God. In hindsight, Harris writes she wishes she'd said that, unlike Biden, she would appoint a Republican to her candidate. Wait, she did say that.
His reaction to that since this part of the book has come out.
Oh, this is Pete Buttigieg. She said Pete Buttigieg is a homosexual, so I couldn't have him as my VP. Straight up. And then she's like, I didn't mean like he's gay and that's wrong. I just meant that like people are not ready for a gay man or something.
If you've had any reflection on that, or I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay.
Yeah. They came after my boy so hard, Bernard. They were like, oh, you said you can't run because you're a woman, over and over again. Okay? Over and over again. But when Mamala's like, yo, you're gay, sorry. Not going to work for me. To a gay woman, by the way, is who she's saying this to, which is crazy.
Gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested.
It's just so funny because by no means am I defending Pete Buttigieg, okay? I am not. I'm not defending Pete Buttigieg as a decent VP pick or a presidential pick, okay? I do not like Pete Buttigieg. But his sexual identity has nothing to do with that, okay? It's his worldview that I do not like. That is insane. I have time and time again responded to critics who have said Kamala lost because she's a black woman. And there are many black critics of mine who have said this as well, that like America was not ready for a black woman. America hates black people. This is true. America does hate black people 100%. And America hates women. Also 100% true. The problem is it doesn't matter. Those are hurdles. Those are setbacks that you can overcome. And the only way to overcome those setbacks is by being an earnest communicator and also having great policies. Kamala Harris did not have great policies, and that's the reason why she ultimately lost. That's it. Okay? It isn't to, I would never in a million years say that like a gay person doesn't have a harder time winning the presidency, or a woman has a harder time winning the presidency than a man, or a black person doesn't have a harder time winning the presidency than a white person. This is all true. Okay, but these hurdles are negligible if you have great policies that keep the voting population in mind. That's it. That's it. But if you don't have those things, then yes, you will not be able to eke out a marginal victory.
Elections for president of the United States against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor.
Oh yeah, he would have just said Pete Buttigieg is gay, Lamau. And he would have won that way.
To be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the...
Look at Rachel Maddow's face.
The LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about yeah, right. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a short period of time.
Yeah, time was running out. That's why America was just not ready for a gay man in 107 days. 108 days? Maybe then. None of this matters. None of this matters. But the problem is, Democrats only speak in one language, which is electability. And it's ironic because they're speaking in the language of electability as to why they make certain decisions after they fucking lost. It's like, maybe you don't know electability, okay? Let's try something different. Fuck. This is what is so frustrating to me. It's like, well, you're lost. Why are we losing? Why are we listening to a loser? But I was homophobic for a really good reason. No, like the problem here is just fucking say you don't agree with Pete Buttigieg's policies or something. But the reality of the matter is she unironically was afraid of Pete Buttigieg because he was gay and was afraid of Josh Shapiro because he was Jewish and also pro-Israel. Okay, that's clear from like the excerpts that I've seen. But what's so stupid about this is none of that matters, okay? This is all negligible. It's a hurdle, sure, just like Kamala Harris being a black woman in an objectively misogynistic and objectively white supremacist country is a hurdle. But you can clear that hurdle if you actually have good policies. If you go to people and you go, listen, I'm a black woman. You don't have to say that. People can see it, right? But like, I want you to have health care. Those motherfuckers want to take away your health care. People are going to go, I don't give a shit. I want health care. That's it. That's what democracy is. That's what democracy is. Explain Mamdani. Example Mamdani. Exactly. Zohran Kwame Mamdani is a 34-year-old brown Muslim socialist. What the fuck are we talking about? I'm so glad he won the primary so I could just point to him every single fucking time. To be like, really? Really? Just like Barack Hussein Obama won by LeBron numbers. Of course, he convinced a lot of people about how progressive he actually was, but didn't follow through on that at all. But, regardless, turns out presenting yourself as like a progressive that doesn't care about like, partisanship and things of that nature. We're not a blue America. We're not a red America. We are the United States of America. That kind of attitude. Yes, we can change. That type of shit works. Kamala won, election was stolen. Let's go. Blue and on is in here.
And the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal.
The stakes are so high. I agree. Some people took it seriously. You guys didn't. That's the problem. That's the problem that I have with liberals. That's the problem I have with the Democratic Party. If you understood the stakes and you understood what it meant for Donald Trump to win the election, the things that I was fucking complaining about over and over again, you never addressed. They did not address masked Gestapo ripping people's families apart. I did. I said the Democrats should address this. This is devastating. This is not going to be popular with people. Turns out I was right. They were wrong. They never addressed it and they fucking lost. They actually took a right-wing position on immigration. They said, oh, we are the serious party. We are the party that's going to do real border control. Donald Trump is deeply unserious. Lol.
Public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks.
Bro, I'm serious. She is such a bad speaker. Fuck, man. Oh my Lord. I think people are faking it. Or she's just tuning into a frequency I cannot understand. When I hear Kamala Harris speak, it's like fucking white noise. It is so unimaginably uncharismatic. She has such a hard time taking any issue seriously and directly answering questions.
To go. You know, and maybe I was being too cautious. You know, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was. But that's the decision I made. And I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
Will you consider?
She got generational aura debt.
As a sort
Here's another line.
of talent spotter
This is on Mamdani.
in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
What do you think of him and his candidacy? And what do you think of mainline Democratic shyness and agitation about the prospect that he's going to win?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee and he should be supported.
Do you endorse his candidacy?
I support the Democrat in the race, sure. But let me just say this.
Why does she have this much smoke for the left flank? Like, dude, you're not even running for president anymore. When you did run for president last time, you presented yourself as like this leftist candidate. Remember when everyone would yell at me and say that I'm racist for undermining Kamala Harris's track record because she was for Medicare for all? A notion she quickly dropped. Maybe it was because, just like these corporations that claim that they're pro-LGBT, that like farm the ugliest fucking pride merch you've ever seen 1 month out of the year, they quickly drop that notion because they don't actually give a fuck about the LGBTQ population. Kamala Harris's leftism was purely aesthetic. She thought, as a bad room reader, I guess, that she could present herself as that And then, of course, when she had any proximity to power, she quickly dropped all of that. And that made her look like a cynical pretender. And on top of that, as a cynical pretender, she also didn't have any motion or charisma to redirect the conversation back to her newfound policies.
He's not the only star. I know that, he's in New York, and I know New Yorkers think they're the center of the world, and here we are in New York having this interview.
It is the biggest city in the country.
And I love New York, as the saying goes. I really do. But, I mean, there are people like Barbara Drummond in Mobile, Alabama, Helena Moreno in New Orleans. They're all running for mayor, too, and they are stars. So I hope that we don't so over-index on New York City that we lose sight of the stars throughout our country who are right now running for mayor and many other offices, governor, and so on. So that's where I am. We got a big tent, and we got a lot of stars.
2020.
She said all mayors matter. She fucking all lives matter, the Zoran question. Not Omar Fateh, though, because he's the bad kind running, in Minneapolis. Not him. Hey, enough about New York City. What about Mobile, Alabama? Now, I mean, I don't know those other mayoral candidates, so I can't speak on them. But like I said, I have one, Omar Fateh. He's a fucking rising star. Notice how she didn't bring him up. I wonder why. Perhaps the tent is too big in one direction for these guys' liking. I'm right by Mobile, and I ain't never heard of whoever she said. Ay, ay, ay. Wait, what did she say? The low-key funniest part is when she says, I love New York, as the saying goes, at 0:35, as though people wouldn't only utter that phrase because they saw it on a bumper sticker.
Talent
Wait,
spotter
I
in the
missed that?
Democratic Party. Yeah. What do you think of him and his candidacy? And what do you think of mainline Democratic shyness and agitation about the prospect that he's going to win?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee, and he should be supported.
Do you endorse his candidacy?
I support the Democrat in the race, sure. But let me just say this. He's not the only star. I know that, he's in New York, and I know New Yorkers think they're the center of the world, and here we are in New York having this interview.
It is the biggest city in the country.
And I love New York, as the saying goes. I really
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do, as the saying goes further. Welcome to New York. Now you're in New York. New York, New York, as the saying goes. Generational aura debt. Oh, fucking awesome. Anyway, she also had some statements for the private sector where she thought the corporate oligarchs would be the safeguards or the guardrails of democracy. Hilarious. Good attitude to have. Anyway, I'm going to skip Ryan Ruth, but apparently he tried to stab himself in the neck. Jimmy Kimmel's returning as well. Yeah, Ryan Ruth. Oh, here. This is what I wanted to. Kamala Harris calls Donald Trump a tyrant and a communist dictator.
We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now in Donald Trump. And these titans of industry are not speaking up.
Given that he's currently trending, let's not forget this all-time Sunstein banger, which to this day remains one of the dumbest things I've ever read. Russia is using Marxist strategies, and so is Trump. These guys are so... They're so delusional. Also, here's the brief Erica Kirk note that I wanted to mention. Finding out Erica Kirk was working for Trump as a model and casting director at the same time she was linked to an evangelical charity in Romania accused of trafficking children and got introduced to Charlie Kirk for a job interview turned date after he'd been working with Trump. Not only that, but they also met on a trip to Israel, I think. His dad was an architect who designed Trump Tower. This is Charlie Kirk's dad. They really just decided his stupid shut son needs a handler. He got popped. Okay, well, I'm not going to go into it, but you know, there is some information. But Erica Trump actually was a Miss USA or Miss Universe, something like one of the Trump properties. Or Erica Trump, Erica Kirk was Miss Arizona for Donald Trump's beauty pageant. That's real. That's a real thing. I mean, she's lived many lives. She's lived many, many lives. She was Miss Arizona 2012. She is... I saw Taylor Lorenz on Matt Bernstein's pod saying she's way further right than you think. Like she pulled Charlie to the right. I don't think she pulled Charlie to the right. I think Charlie Kirk was doing something. I think Charlie Kirk was doing something that what many other Republicans were also trying to do, as evidenced by what Matt Walsh was doing at the Daily Wire when he like posted that quick swastika AI photo in an effort to keep the based supporters. Charlie Kirk, especially after the Israel stuff really became a point of contention, was basically retriangulating to be extra racist because there's only one way to win favor and show and communicate earnesty in the Republican base, which is to just be as racist as you possibly can. You know, move away from dog whistles to more overt versions of racism. To soothe the interests of an increasingly dumber audience and a more angry audience. And that's the real reason why he was becoming more and more racist. Not because I don't think like Erica Kirk pulled him to that direction. Because the more people asked him about Israel, the more he was like, fuck trans people, fuck black people, that sort of thing, right? How is Taylor Lorenz right wing? I'm so confused. Wait, what? I never said that. I don't know what Erica Kirk's personal politics look like, but I will say that Charlie Kirk was, I think, had their arm burned by an object drop from a drone. 15 drones were reported seen over Alma. All boats are on high alert, wearing life jackets and carrying out safety protocols. The story is developing. Update, there have been at least 9 attacks and at least 6 explosions over the past hour and a half. Organizers tell a drop site. Video is from Brazilian activist Thiago Avila.
Alert. Unfortunately, the Global Summit Flotilla is being attacked once again. It's the 6th explosion that we hear. The first was on Oela boat, the second on Yulara boat, the third on Otaria boat, the fourth on Maria Cristina, the 5th in Salvadia. We just heard a new explosion here. They are throwing flashbangs at us. They are jamming the radio communication. They are throwing chemicals like they did in Yulara. This is an attack situation. We know they have been doing these things for psychological warfare. The drones have been above us for a long time, for many nights, but now they are escalating into more severe and more dangerous types of attacks. We send this alert to the world. Pressure your governments. Pressure anyone to pressure the ones that are doing this, and we know very well who they are, to stop this attack. We are less than 600 nautical miles from Gaza. We are a humanitarian, non-violent solidarity mission. We are bringing food and aid to open a humanitarian corridor. We are protected by international law. We are part of the conscience of the world.
Why did they stagger the flotillas instead of doing a bunch at once? Is this way better? It's because the reason why they're doing it like this is because in the past they were testing it. They were testing to see what Israel would do, and this is the largest flotilla that has launched so far.
That was family.
The family is now the 8th ship to be attacked tonight. Once again, they are delivering humanitarian aid, and it's more so also a symbolic break through the unjustifiable Israeli blockade. Okay? Like, their goal is to deliver humanitarian aid directly to Gaza. And basically give confidence to the rest of the world that they too can do this. Israel obviously fears this, which is precisely the reason why they have apprehended and attacked every single flotilla, basically. No, they don't have weapons on board, chatter. What the fuck are you talking about? They never have weapons on board. The most famous incident that Israel actually hit with dropship commandos from a fucking helicopter was the Turkish one, Mavi Marmara. Israel's peaceful proposal, Israel will take the necessary measures to prevent its entry into the combat zone and to stop any violation of a lawful naval blockade while making every possible effort to ensure the safety of its passengers. We reiterate, if your intentions are sincere, transfer any such aid to Ashkelon Marina so that it can be forwarded promptly to the Gaza Strip in a peaceful and nonviolent manner. They do not want any eyeballs that are not like IDF to see what is going on inside the Gaza Strip. Greg Stoker is on it as well. He said the global Samud flotilla is being targeted by, as of yet, non-lethal psychological attacks which include drones and the hijacking of VHF radios. They're playing ABBA, probably in line with their weird obsession with Greta. We will not be deterred. There are also reporters on this flotilla as well. There are human rights workers on this flotilla. Yeah, so